Hayismechu bemalchus chashomrei Shabbos koreone. Hayismechu bemalchus chashomrei Shabbos koreone. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Ben. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to see you. We're so happy to spend Shabbos with you, to transition. As the light is leaving, got a little more light this week. And as we transition into Shabbos, leaving behind yet another week wrought with so much pain, so much national pain and violence, but we welcome an opportunity for rest, an opportunity for intake of new breath of quiet, a breath of healing, breath of new light. Breath of respite, and maybe even just the imagination of a world full of joy.
Korei oneg, calling that joy. Higalena, ufros chavivi alai, et sukat shlomecha. Higalena, maradai, higalena. Ufros chavivi alai et sukat shlomecha. Higalena, oh higalena. Ufros chavivi alai et sukat shlomecha.
Entering that sukkah of peace and welcoming the opportunity for Shabbos with song. Sing with us, Lechu Neranana. Lechu Neranana. Ladonai. Naria. Let's Orishayno. Nekadma fanav. Ibetoda. Bizmirot. Hainarialo. Asher biado mechakre haaretz et avod arno asher lo yam asal yam asher lo mishtachavim כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו אמרתו וצאן ידו היום אם בקולו תשמעו אל תחשו לבבכם אשר סודי עבודיכם ברנוני גם רעוף עלי 40 שנה אקוט בדור I'm toiling him. Elo yadu derachai Asher nishpati ve'api Him yevon al menuchati Hedirai Let's hear you.
Moving toward a new song. Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Baruch Shemo. Bastru miyom leyom Yeshuato Esapru vagoyim kevodo vechol ha'amim niflotav ki gadol Adonai umhulal meod norahu al kol Elohim כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. הבו לאדוני משפחות עמים, יבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, שאו מנחה ובואו לחצרותיו, השתחוו לאדוני. ידרת קודש יאכילו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו הגויים אדוני מלאכיו תיכון תבל בל תימות ידין עמים במשרים נאי ישמחו השמיים תגל הארץ ירם הים ומאלו יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני קיבה כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט הבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו,
We rise if we're able, or we'll just rise in spirit at the top of page 28. Mizmor leDavid, avul Adonai b'leilim, avul Adonai kavod ba'oz, avul Adonai kevod shemo. Ishtachavul Adonai v'adat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach. Kaddish, kol Adonai cholel hayalot, vayechesov ye'arot, u'echalot kulo merkavot, Adonai la'amavu yashav yishev Adonai, melech le'olam Adonai oz, le'amo yiten Adonai levarech et amo v'shalom, hay 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 hay. Hi, 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 oh, hi, 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 And we take a final musical breath before preparing to greet the Shabbos bride, and a cry for God to hear our voice as light turns to darkness. Ana bekoach gedulas yemincha, tatir terura. Ana bekoach gedulas yemincha, tatir terura. Kaverina samcha sagveino tareino no נגיבור דורשי חודך, כבבס שומרם, ברכם תרם רחמי צדקך, תמיד גומלם. חסין הקדוש ברוב טובך, נהל עדתך, היחיד גלמך פני, זוכרי קדושתך, שבתנו קבל, ושמע צעקתנו, יודע תעלומות, יודע תעלומות. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Yadadam Chadodi Kaskala Yadadam Shabbos is calling us all. Shamor v'zachor v'diborecha Hadish biyanu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferes v'li tila hayayam maradai hayadadai maradai hayadadai hadodi likras kala hadadai yadadai maradai hayadadai yadadai bnei Shabbat nekabela haydaida haylikras Shabbat haylechu v'necha haykim ekor haberacha haydaida merosh mikedem haynesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat techila yamam maradai yadadai maradai yadadai chadodi likras kala hadadam maradai yadadai maradai yadadai pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Ay mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzei mitoch hafecha rav lach shevet bi'emek habacha והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. ידדאי נדדאי אמדדדאי נדדאי לך דודי. ידדם נדדאי נדדאי אמדדאי אמדדאי לקראת כלה. Yadidam dadidai am dadidai Yambaradai, yambaradai, ne kabila. Yadidai, idnari. Me afarkumi. Leave she big day tifartech. Ami. Al Yad Ben Yishai Bet Lachmi Korva El Nafshi Ye Alai Yadadam Dadadai Yam Dadadai Yam Dadadai Yam Dadadai L'chadodi likras kalor Dadadai
Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumiori, ayori, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, halayich nigla. Hayrai ambaradai, yadadai ambaradai, yadadai radodi likras kala. Hararam baradai, yadadai ambaradai, yadadai bnei Shabbos nekavela. Hayrai do, hayrai do, yiriram hayrai do. Let's go meeting the Shabbos Queen wherever we are. Bnei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikami, vakish tochachim matemi, vach yechasu ani ami, and ibnatayir atila. Hayarai lecha dodi, hayarai likrat kala, hayarai bnei Shabbat nekavela. והיו בשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתנה על כלה. היי לך דודי, היי לקראת כלה, היי בני שבת נקבלה. ימינו שמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תארצי, על יד איש בין פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. היי לך דו, let's go, היי לקראת כלה, היי בני שבת נקבלה. היי ננאי ננאי ננאי, היי ננאי ננאי, היי ננאי ננאי ננאי, היי ננאי ננאי. Time to dance, say night night night, hey night 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 night, hey night 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 night, hey night 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 night, hey Twice blessed, welcoming the Shabbos Queen, Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam simcha u'v'tzahala, toch emunei am segula, Boi kala Shabbat samelka, hayarai lecha dodi, hayarai likras kala, hayarai penei Shabbat, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Greeting the face of Shabbat. Just taking a moment maybe to take in all of these faces in gallery view. Look at this. Hi, everybody. Good Shabbos. So we're stepping into the book of Vayikra, of Leviticus, this week, right now, with this Shabbat. Vayikra, the first word of the book, begins with a little tiny aleph at the end of that word. Vayikra with a little tiny aleph. This silent just say I want to invite everybody to just take a moment to see if you can settle into that little aleph inside. just for the next 60 seconds or so, just if it's available to you to just notice anywhere that little aleph might be presenting itself to you, maybe in the toes, maybe in your feet. Maybe in your chest, maybe somewhere in the back of your head. It's that little aleph. It can be so hard to notice during the week. But starting now, starting with Shabbat, it can get bigger and bigger. Just holding us. So just inviting everyone to take a couple of deep breaths like that. Making that aleph sound without any effort at all. Now at this time, as we're welcoming in the Shabbat, also take a moment to welcome in blessings for all who are in need of healing. In this time of ailment, maybe feeling sick and tired of so much. So Shabbat comes and allows us, even though we don't ask for much on Shabbat, we can ask for healing for those who are in need. So I'll just ask if we have a slide with Refuah Shlema names, with the blessings of this community being extended to all the names here. Everyone, please just direct your attention to these names as we chant together.
Ben, before we chant, I'm sorry, but I just want to let everybody know that our dear Rav David Ingber is in need of a healing prayer tonight. He's okay. He has a pain in the neck, not me, but a pinched nerve. And he's requesting that we mention his name also. And Rebecca has put in the chat his Hebrew name, Harav Chaim David ben Sachna Vivilka Miriam. And he also requests that we keep him in our prayers and in our hearts, but you don't have to reach out to him. He's trying to minimize the amount of communications that he does so he can just rest. But he's healing and he'll welcome our prayers. Thank you.
The words of this chant come from Moses praying for the healing of his sister Miriam, and Rabbi David, and all of these names here, our brothers and sisters, our siblings in this holy community and beyond. Thinking of you. Ana elna, Ana elna, Ana elna, Rifana lao, Ana elna, Ana elna, Ana elna, Rifana la.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Or as they say in the community in which I grew up, Shabbat Shalom. That's the Syrian Jewish community and the Syrian Jewish way to say it. So a moment of peace, a moment of welcoming all new guests. Please, if you're new here, put your name in the chat and let us welcome you properly. So first of all, the mother of one of our Zoom hosts, Debbie Marin, is bringing her 9th grade high school class from Congregation B'nai Shalom in Westboro, Massachusetts. And I know they would usually come in person, but now they're gathering together to be part of Romemu. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Judy P. Judy and Gary from South Hero, Vermont. Welcome. I love hearing names of places that I've never heard of before. South Hero. Margie and Bob. Anyone else? Anyone else that's new here? Maya's parents coming from her old kitchen. Love it. Welcome, Elka Abramson. Louie and Sally Cannon from British Virgin Island, friends of Jonathan. Welcome, welcome. In a minute, we're going to go into breakout rooms so we can greet each other properly.
And I think before that, we'll have some announcements for the community.
Okay, I think we're ready for the announcements.
So I'm sure everybody's aware, Passover is coming. There's a lot going on. Look at the website, romu.org, and there's a whole slew of really exciting things, both before Passover and on Passover. Rabbi Kohler Esses and Rabbi Ingber are teaching classes before Passover starts. And if you've never sold your chametz, if you don't even know what selling chametz is, this is a great chance to do so. It's really fun, it's meaningful, it's beautiful. So check it out. And then on Passover itself, we have many different seders to meet all needs. Romu Brooklyn is doing a seder. We're doing a holistic seder led by our rabbinical team and Chazan Basia Schechter on the second night of Passover that everybody's welcome to join. And then we have a matching community seder. If you want to host or if you're looking for a place to go, sign up on the website on the first night and you can join a community seder of your own. And of course, if you have kids or if you are a kid at heart, then join our youth and family seder as well. It's really an incredible month coming up because the weekend right after Pesach is our second annual Shabbat of the Child, a really moving and incredible weekend. It's the second time we've done it. We're going to do it in partnership again with the Haruv Institute and other organizations that specialize in making sure that our children are safe. And Romemu is now going to be our second year of part of a certification of being a child-safe environment, and there's a whole protocol to do that. And we're really proud to be doing that. It's going to be a great weekend. A community member, Michelle Estrick, has a film. Please come and join this really, really special and important Shabbat. And then the following weekend, as if that wasn't enough, is another home hosting, and lots of different home hostings. I know, a shout out, we're doing one, but also 1 year on Pandemic Silver Linings. You can join that Shabbat dinner virtually. Out of Towners Unite. Sounds cool. And The Joy of Spring, a poetry Shabbat dinner. So that and 20 other different home hosted Shabbats.
Steph, you got to give me a shout out for Yiddish. Yiddish Shabbos. Yiddish.
Yiddish Shabbat. Okay.
Lo mir reden auf Yiddish auf mein Shabbos Tisch. So, just saying.
What she said. And coming soon, this spring, mid-May, is it's really the third annual Summer Intensive Yeshiva program. It's open. There's parts that are open to everybody. That will be announced soon. But right now we're taking applications for the cohort. It's a relatively small group of people that commit to a full 4-week program of immersive study. Go to the website and sign up. It's going to be incredible. And then again, open to everybody, but especially for the cohort, is a silent retreat in person at Isabel Friedman Center. And that's following the 4 weeks. Another week, May 18th. Sign up. Again, you've seen this many times, Walk in the Woods. So it's happening again soon. And we've also announced several times that we will help you with vaccinations. If you are looking for a place to get vaccinated, you want help signing up, our Chesed committee is ready to help you. And I do want to say, we definitely encourage people to get vaccinated. We are absolutely, like many congregations now, thinking about how and when to get back in person. And we're studying that very carefully. And vaccinations, as you might imagine, will have an impact on who and how many and when we can really gather again. So we encourage everybody to take advantage of that if you can. Finally, tomorrow, this weekend is Kohenet Shabbat. So tomorrow, join an incredible group of our own clergy, as well as real friends and partners of Romemu, Rabbi and Kohenet Jill Hammer and Rav Kohenet Shoshana Jedwab and others in what will be a very, very special Shabbat morning service. And now, finally, last but not least, Ariel, are you here?
I'm here. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And thank you for that Refuah Shlema on behalf of Rabbi David and everyone who needs it. I'm thrilled. I'm hoping that everyone saw the save the date for our upcoming benefit on May 25th, 2021. We are thrilled to be having a benefit this year, as last year we were not able to have one. But we're even more thrilled to announce the honorees for this year's benefit. And drum roll, please. Announcing two really incredible humans that have been part of this community for quite some time, Karen Goldstick and Marcia Meislin. If we can spotlight them for a quick moment. Karen, along with her beautiful Menshi chauffeur playing husband, Jonathan, has been participating and leading for a decade at Romemu. Marcia, along with her beautiful Menshi wine guru husband, Stephen, have also been leading and participating at Romemu for almost a decade. And you'll hear so much more about these two incredible women, Karen and Marcia, as we talk to you about what they've done. In short, what they do is they create a space for every single person who walks through these doors or through these Zoom boxes. I don't know how they do it, but they find you and they create comfort for you. And they build leaders, they create comfort for people, and they make sure people have a place to go. And there's no one we want to honor and thank more. A lot of people do this at Romemu, and we're just so pleased to acknowledge Karen and Marcia in particular this year. So you'll hear a lot more from us on this front and about the benefit. For the moment, save the date. And Karen and Marcia, Shabbat Shalom and Mazal Tov.
You forgot about me, Mommy. You forgot about
Okay. Here we are. So it is Shabbat Vayikra. And that means we're all in for calling this Shabbat. Vayikra refers to when God calls out to Moses, I've got something that I need to tell you and I need you to do. And so we're inviting everybody tonight as we prepare for breakout rooms to just dig a little bit, even if it's about just taking a moment to sort of listen for a second. What is calling out to you? What is the nature of the call at this time for you? Something you can share in your breakout rooms. And on top of that,
And in response to that call, the Parsha really goes through opportunities for giving, right? For bringing, right, not just being called kara, but karov, to come close. So what is the nature of of the call for you? And what are you bringing to meet that call? What is the nature of the call? What is the call? What's calling you? What are you bringing to meet that call? So in our breakout rooms,
getting ready for our own call and response.
to get ready for our own call of prayer, we'll send you to connect deeper in breakout rooms. So we'll see you back here soon. Yismechu v'malchus chashomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchus chashomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. We're calling, being called. Call, and rise if we're able. Call,
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Amorach le'olam va'ed.
אלא חיה וקיימת, עמית תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוכת שכינה מעריבה רבים. Preparing now for great love, an earthly and eternal love. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Torah mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim u'tarat. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, v'hem negei yomam v'layla, v'avtacha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Moving to page 43 for Shema. Please gather any margins, fringes of your awareness. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Taking heed of whatever else we need. והיה אם שמות תשמעו וצאתי אשר. תרצכם ותרבן שפרסו ותרבן ותרבן שפרסו. What's calling? Can you hear it? כי מהשמיים על הארץ, ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם. ראיתם אותו? Just focus on what you can hear, not what you can see for a minute. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Can you hear what calls with the responsibility of freedom? Mi chamocha
kamocha.
Ba'elim Adonai.
Ba'elim Adonai.
Mi kamocha.
Mi kamocha.
Nedar b'kodesh.
Nedar b'kodesh.
Nora.
Nora.
Tehillah.
Tehilot.
Oseh.
Oseh. Malchusecha. Ra'u vanecha. Bokei hayam.
Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam.
Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam.
Hosei
Zeili.
Anu ve'ameru.
Anu ve'ameru.
Adonai Lo.
Adonai yimloch.
Le'olam va'ed.
Le'olam va'ed.
Denemar kifada Adonai et Yaakov. Upaloch elat miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael.
Amen.
Adonai l'shalom aleinu ufros aleinu sukat shalom echad. Spread over us the shelter of your peace this Shabbos. This Shabbos when we need peace so much. Ufros aleinu sukat shalom echad. Baruch atah Adonai. Haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asos et ha-Shabbat v'dorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheishes yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz vayom hashevi shavas vayinafash.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'elmad yivrach yirteh ve'yamlich malchuteh. Mechayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imeru.
Amen. Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach, Vayolam Elal Me'el Mayar, Yisbarach, Vishtabach, Vitvar, Vishramam, Vitnaseh, Vizadar, Visalev, Visalal, Shemei Dekudesha,
Mrichu.
Leila, Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechasa V'Nechemasa, Da'amiram Be'elma. And let us say Amen. Take a moment to go inside to say the words of our own hearts or the words on the page in front of you for a silent Amidah.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Recently, I watched the interview between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and Oprah. Now, mind you, I'm really not somebody who's into the royal family in any way. In fact, I've never really paid attention before. But this interview caught my attention, and I think for a reason that's important. What was revealed in that interview was that there was a call that no one heard, a call in a palace that was silenced. There was so much pain when life appeared to be so perfect. Behind the royal veil, there was a crisis unheeded. Meghan Markle was suicidal and could not get help, even though she tried. Listen to her words. And look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time, she tells Oprah, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially because I know how much loss he suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was a very clear and real and frightening, constant thought. And I remember how he just cradled me. And I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before. I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't. It wouldn't be good for the institution. They took her car keys, her credit cards, her license. She was essentially a prisoner in the palace. And as she says, she could not just call an Uber and go to a psychiatric hospital. I wonder often about our calls to one another, about when we call and when we keep silent, about how we do and don't respond to one another's calls, about what's at stake in calling out and in responding to the call. So as you heard earlier, this week we start a new book, and one could really call it the Book of the Calling. It starts with the word Vayikra, and he called. It's a really interesting way to start the book because the call is anonymous. We don't know till the next sentence that it's God who's calling. Vayikra el Moshe, and he called to Moses. All we know about this call is that it's singular and the gender is male. The first verse of Leviticus continues. And God spoke to him, and now we can assume it's Moses, from the tent of meeting. Vayidaber Adonai elav me ohel moed lemor, saying. We have all the details we need to make sense of what is going on here. God is speaking to Moshe from the tent of meeting, the place that God dwells. But now that we have all the specifics, let's return to those first three words, Vayikra el Moshe, and he called to Moses, and ask, why does this book begin with an anonymous call? And to make matters even more mysterious, if we look at this word in the Torah scroll, the little aleph, the last letter of this verb, and he called, is written in a way that's tiny. That aleph is really small. So the mysteries of this word multiply. We don't know who the caller is, and it's written in an anomalous way with a teeny aleph. What is this pointing towards? How are we to make sense of this? Many of the Hasidic masters address this small aleph and the anonymity of this verb and say that it's all about tzimtzum, God's contraction, the same contraction that gave rise to the entire world. The idea is that God has to limit God's power so other things can exist. And if God doesn't limit God's call, none of us will be able to hear this. This is reflected in legends about Revelation, where it says that God spoke to each of us at Sinai according to our own capacity. God modulated God's voice to every single individual, an amazing divine capacity. Because it's just not possible to hear God's unmodulated voice, and certainly not possible to hear it and then respond. I can just imagine going into a kind of trance upon hearing it. So how do we function and hear the call? Our Torah, our sacred book, our sacred master narrative is such a beautiful example of so many calls, such variety. Consider the story of the holiday that we just came from, Purim. The Jewish people were imperiled, and Mordechai needed to somehow communicate with Esther in the palace. So Mordechai parks himself in front of the palace gates. He's wearing sackcloth. He raises up his voice and just simply wails. And he sends a message to Esther. When she kind of balked at his wearing sackcloth and said to him, like, I can't possibly approach the king. I can't possibly respond to your call. I can't possibly help you at this moment, even though my people were imperiled. He said to her, Al tadmi benafshach, don't think to yourself that you shall escape in the king's palace more than all the Jews. L'himalet bet hamelach mikol haYehudim. For if you remain silent at this moment, then relief and deliverance will arise to the Jews from another place. Ki im hacharesh tacharishi ba'et hazot, revach v'hatala ya'amod la'Yehudim mimakom acher, va'at u'veit avicha, and you and your family will perish. Umi yodea, and who knows? Im le'et kazot higat l'malchut, and who knows whether you have not come to royalty, to this position in the palace for such a time as this. And so she springs, hearing Mordechai's refined call, she springs into action. She commands Mordechai to fast. And this whole book until now, the first 3 chapters of the book of Esther, he's commanding her. Now she commands him to fast, and for all the people of Israel to fast. She dresses in royal garb and she approaches the king with a brilliant strategy that works. Esther saves her people. Mordechai calls, Esther responds, and then Esther calls. And if we look forward to to the story of Passover, right? It's coming fast. It's fast upon us. We find another palace and more calls. First, Moshe leaves the palace and sees the suffering of his people. Then he intervenes on behalf of 7 Midianite women, not his people, just simple human beings trying to draw water for their sheep while shepherds are driving them away. He hears the call of these women. Finally, he hears the voice of God at the burning bush. He responds with great and even tortured ambivalence, but he hears. 2 palaces. Esther hears the voice in the palace and hatches a plan. She saves her people. Moses leaves the royal palace and hears the suffering of his people, hears the human voice of suffering, and finally hears God's voice summoning him from the bush and appointing him as a leader who will take his people out of Egypt. So we have before us now 3 palaces: the palace of Achashverosh, the palace of the Pharaoh, and the British palace. The palace is such a potent symbol in Jewish tradition and beyond, always featured in a fairy tale, in a myth. When Mordechai says to Esther, "You cannot hide in the palace," I hear something larger than just the reality of a physical palace. I hear that each of us cannot hide in what keeps us safe, in our own privilege, in our own security. Mordechai knew that Esther's safety was an illusion. If we don't live in a world in which we keep each other safe, then none of us are safe. We can't hide in our own palaces. We can't hide in our own privilege. This past week, I was visiting my mother in Florida. I haven't been able to visit her very often because of the pandemic. The last time I saw her was October. I happened to be staying in a hotel, and in the hotel elevator, I heard and saw all kinds of things. People en masse, people sort of half mass. It barely felt like a pandemic. But I heard a conversation the first day I was there that really shocked me. 2 men were speaking, and one said, "I had COVID last February when everything just started." And what the former president said about COVID was correct, about the virus was correct. And what he said is, this is a China virus, that somehow they had really screwed us over. And then he muttered something about liberals and their responsibility for all this that I didn't really understand. So this was Sunday night. There I was in the elevator with them, and I just stared. I wanted to say something, to disagree, to speak out, to answer the call of justice that I was hearing in my own head. But I could not think of one thing to say. Certainly not in the minute that we were together on the elevator. I was frozen. I was speechless. 2 days later, a young man went on a shooting rampage at 3 spas in Atlanta, killed 8 people. 6 of them were women of Asian descent. I began to think about the lines between our former president's rhetoric to the language of those men in the elevator to hatred and violence and mass shooting. We're still learning about what motivated that horrific crime, but no matter what the cumulative effect of language, like the language I heard in the elevator, fuels hatred, fuels violence. I heard that call. I heard the call of justice, but I did not respond to it. I'm trying to respond to it now by sharing this story with you. Leviticus is the book of the call. And it's actually a book about offering, about sacrifice, about korbanot. The word korban has within it closeness. Kuf resh vav. Every time we offer, we come closer. We come closer to God. At the beginning of the book is the call, and that call is a call for Moses to come closer to God. The book describes in endless detail the technology of sacrifice, of coming closer through an offering. Each of us issues calls daily, asking others to come closer to us. And each of us hears calls daily. When we utter a call, there is something we need to give up in order to come close, to sacrifice. When I was in that elevator, perhaps I needed to sacrifice some of my own discomfort, my own fear at approaching a stranger. Perhaps there's something I could have said. I'm eager to actually hear from you if you want to email me about what could I have done in that moment that would have been meaningful. Esther in the palace risked her life. Moses in the bush sacrificed living a normal life in order to stand as a deliverer of his people. When we hear the cries of other human beings, we might also hear the first word of Leviticus, Vayikra, that anonymous divine call with a small aleph, God's contraction, God's simsum in the divine call. The anonymity of God's call allows us to imagine the echo of the divine call in each call, the call of our conscience, the call of our children, the call of the people around us, the call of the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. The divine call refracted through so many human calls, so many human cries for help. Maybe we be strong enough to hear the call and to respond to the call.
Just want to turn people's attention before we bring it back to the heart, to the chat, where you can find opportunities to stand in solidarity with the Asian American and Pacific Islander community this weekend. Thanks just so much to Rebecca Feldman for sharing those opportunities with us in the chat.
And now taking all of Rabbi Diane's words also. They left from one heart, entered a lot of other ones. Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, V'hashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Havaya, Hiya Elohim,
V'nemar Adonai L'malech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad.
Echad. Just that little aleph for Echad.
Time for Mourner's Kaddish. We could have the screen. Thank you so much. So everybody, we invite you to unmute yourselves and put any names you would like in the chat as well. And let us particularly remember the 8 people who were massacred earlier this week.
So, were all 8 people that were killed Asian women? 6 were.
Okay, you're unmuted now, so.
Just only unmute yourselves if you'd like to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Thank you. Vikadal,
Kadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Yom
Adi Rabbah,
Okay. The Chayachon, the Chaye, the Chol,
Israel,
Bagala, Bizman, Ari, Vemru, Amen.
Shemei Rabbah,
The Olam, Yishabach, Yitar, Yitaleh, Kol Berchata, V'Shirata, Shokata, Nechama, Dioma, V'Imru, Amen. Hey, Shema, Rabba, Min Shemata, V'Chayim, Elenu, V'Chol Yisrael, Amen. Oseh, Elenu,
Amen.
May their memories be a blessing to everyone. And we move from blessing to blessing into this cup of blessing. First and foremost, into this cup of blessing, Rabbi Diane, thank you so much for teaching us tonight, and for calling us. into this cup of blessing all these beautiful people that you see in front of you, the entire Romemu clergy team and the entire Romemu team. Behind the scenes, we have Rebecca, the amazing Rebecca, and Michaeli for being our sound and sight maestros. Thank you so much. You guys can turn on your cameras and wave so everyone can see your beautiful faces. Into this cup of blessing, my friend and peer and colleague, soon to be Rabbi Ben Perlstein.
You too, Maya. Thank you.
So lovely to lead together. And we're so happy to be here with all of you to spend Shabbos together and to sing and to daven. How about a little Kaddish? A little Kaddish? Great.
Feeling it.
That's our Kaddish. Okay. If you have your cup of blessing, now's your moment. Vayere, vayvoker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am, vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa, vayishpot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi vayikadesh oto, kivo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asos. Savri.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam, asher kishanu mitzotav ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'avav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrei kodesh, zecher l'tiyat Mitzrayim, ki vanu acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, עם כל העמים ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, וקדש השבס.
Amen.
From my bat mitzvah Kaddish cup.
Oof, mazel tov.
Thank you.
Look at all this sanctification in the room.
We'll
So
see you tomorrow for
beautiful.
sanctification of Kohanot.
Holy, holy rabbis and priestesses. Good Shabbos, everybody.
See some faces and some waves and some smiles. Say good night, Shabbos.
Hey, everybody. Which one is Joe?
Synchronized waving is so nice to watch. Also to see a group of people together.
That
What a
is pretty
beautiful thing.
amazing. Marsha, mazel tov. Holly, Sharon. Everyone's almost completely coordinated. It's really
Yeah.
incredible in this way. It's like we're all one. It's as if we're all one. It really is. us home, Jeff.
Good Shabbos.
Say good Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos, everybody.